The team came to terms with Teddy Bridgewater, 3 years, $63 million. He will replace Cam Newton in Carolina. And the team said they gave Newton permission to seek a trade. Newton said he was forced into that situation. He seemed very upset about the way this was portrayed. And you can see as he posted, "Stop with the wordplay. I never asked for it. There's no dodging this one. I love the Panthers to death and will always love you guys. Please do not try and play me or manipulate the narrative and act like I wanted this. You forced me into this. Love." Let me bring Adam Schefter back into the conversation because it does appear Cam Newton is going to need a new place to go. What is the latest you're hearing on a trade partner for Cam Newton?
Well, here's the interesting part about this, Greeny, and so many stories will come back to this in the end. Basically, Cam Newton hasn't been healthy. So any team that's going to trade for him is going to want him to take a physical. They're going to want to get their hands on him. The problem is, can't do that in this day and age. You're not allowed to visit with players. Facilities are closed. So who's going to trade for Cam Newton and his $19.1 million salary at times like this when they can't figure out whether or not he's healthy? Plus, you're seeing the starting jobs filled on an almost daily basis. Teddy Bridgewater takes the Panthers job. Phillip Rivers takes the Colts job. Tom Brady is going to take the Buccaneers job. How many other starting quarterback jobs are there out there at this point in time? So there's a shortage of jobs. There's a surplus of quarterbacks. There's restrictions on the travel and what teams can do with the physicals. And it all creates a situation in which, as much as Carolina wants to trade Cam Newton, it might in the end be forced to release him because they have no trade partner because of all the situations that are unfolding in this country right now.
Absolutely. Schefter, well done. Thank you. I want to go back to Dan and Marcus on this because I think that's an important point to pick up. Listen, Cam Newton is not that far removed pardon me, from being the MVP of the National Football League. Health, obviously, is the big question. But do you see a place? Schefter is talking about not that many options. Marcus, I'll start with you. Do you see a place where Cam Newton could go next year, be the starting quarterback, and make a difference?
Gee, I just go back to history and what we talked about with the Chicago Bears possibly. And Matt Nagy, obviously, Mitch Trubisky is a question mark. They want to do things athletically with their quarterback, but this is so difficult. To Schefter's point, thinking about the health, man. Listen, there would be no conversation around Cam if he was a healthy quarterback. He would be one of these guys that would be in free agency, and we would be on pins and needles trying to figure out where he was going if it got to that point. Maybe the Redskins, maybe reconnect with Ron Rivera in Washington. He just brought Thomas Davis back from the LA Chargers. That may be a relationship that they can facilitate down in Washington with a young quarterback in Dwayne Haskins and possibly have Cam as a backup. But like you mentioned, $19 million, a quarterback that we don't know if he's healthy. Can he stay healthy as well? I think at this point, between Washington and Chicago is where I would tell you, Green.
What do you think, Dan?
Greeny, let me be very clear here. If Cam Newton is healthy and he goes to the Los Angeles Chargers, that is an outstanding match. Because the reality is this, Cam has done and does two things really, really well. One, we know run the football, and that could become part of Anthony Lynn's offense. And two, throw the football downfield. Now they have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry. They have guys that can go downfield and make big plays down the field. That's something that Cam has done well. So if, and I know that's the big if there, but if he's healthy, Cam can still be very, very good at that position. Now, that being said, that's the great unknown because 3 surgeries in the last couple years, and you're talking about a quarterback that's been banged up. It's almost like the reverse of Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady slowed down the aging process by the way he played and not taking a ton of hits and the way he dieted and lived his life. And Cam Newton kind of expedited the growing process or the aging process because of all the hits he took. And so that's the great caveat here is what are teams going to get with Cam Newton? But if you're going to tell me that they can find a way to get a doctor and looking at Cam Newton and he says, yep, Cam's surgery is fully healed, and that year off last year kind of rejuvenated his body, you can absolutely get really, really good quarterback play out of Cam Newton still.
Yeah, that would make sense, but then Marcus, here's what I keep coming back to, because we talk about the reasonable price tag and everything else. Well, no team has a better sense of where he is than the Carolina Panthers do, understanding that it's a new coaching staff and everything else, but he's there, and to whatever degree he's been anywhere, he's been there. If he was healthy, I have to believe that he would be staying there, that they would be giving that another shot with him, right? Isn't that an indication that one would look at and say, That's not a good sign.
G, to your point, man, we heard this owner talk about if Cam is healthy, we'll talk about it. And I tell you guys all the time, when you're sure about your quarterback, you speak surely about your quarterback. And we knew at that point there were some things arising. Obviously, Joe Brady being there. And to me, man, there's a point with Teddy Bridgewater and what I see with Joe Burrow as well and what John Brady, the new offensive coordinator, possibly wants to do. When I saw this Teddy Bridgewater contract and when I saw that they were after him, I was like, look, that's very familiar to what Joe Burrow has the ability to do. Obviously, the connection with them being in New Orleans together as well. But I just never saw Cam coming back to Carolina because people will mum, especially when the owner says what he says. Now, Matt Rule comes out and he saves face and talks about possibly wanting to coach Cam. But when you have a quarterback in the building for everybody watching and you want that quarterback in the building, you at every stop, every possibility that you have to address the media or address that quarterback or address your team, you reassure them and everybody else that that is your guy. That is not what the owner of the Carolina Panthers did.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.